Hi guys, welcome back to Caribbean J03. Welcome back to my kitchen. Okay, my sister will be canning pork tamales soup. Yep, you heard me right. Woo! Pork tamales soup. That sounds good. Oh my lord. Hmm. Anyway, guys, chair. The kitchen is all yours, and I can't wait to taste that soup. That soup sounds so good. For real. It's very interesting, isn't it? Anyway, chair, kitchen is all yours. Guys, I'll see you on the other end when the soup is done. Alrighty, y'all. So today we're gonna be making my version of the pork tamale soup. Yes, you heard me right. Soup with annatto. So let's get started. So I have about 2 pounds of pork in here. And I cubed it. I've washed and rinsed it. Um, and it's now ready to basically be seasoned. So I'm going to start off with putting in mm, usually the usual suspects for this version of pork tamales. So I am going to put in um, about a half a cup of vinegar. This is just regular white distilled vinegar. Um, if you don't have vinegar, you can certainly put in lemon juice. Not sure how much that would be though. Um, okay. Put in about a teaspoon of salt. I'm not putting in the required 2 teaspoons of salt because, or 2 tablespoons of salt, sorry, because I am also going to be using chicken base. So here is my 1 teaspoon of salt. Um, and then here is the chicken base that I dissolved a little bit in water. It's literally just warm water that I put in there because it's the better than bouillon chicken base. So I literally had to just put a little bit of hot water in it to dissolve it and then let it come back to room temperature. So that's, and then after that, I'm going to put in my Worcestershire sauce, which is about 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire. And again, added salt content with the Worcestershire sauce. Um, and then this for me is what I would call a generous. I want to say it's supposed to be probably about a half a teaspoon, but I think I went a little overboard with my cayenne pepper, so it's just a little more than, okay, so it's a generous half teaspoon. And I have about 1 teaspoon of cumin, and this is freshly ground black pepper. So this is about a half teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. And I usually add Italian seasoning, but I didn't have any more Italian seasoning. So I have 1 teaspoon of Mexican oregano that I almost sort of tried to crush with my fingers. And then I am going to add in about, I'd say about a teaspoon of green seasoning. This is the Trinidad green seasoning that I brought back from Trinidad when I came back. All right, so I like it, so I'll put in 2. You do you though. My sister will put the measurements and the ingredients in the description below. And I'm also adding in my garlic, which I'm going to hold off on that for a minute, but I am going to add it in. I just want to stir. Actually, I should probably put it in. Let me just put it in. So I have 4 garlic cloves in here that I minced. So now I'm just going to mix this all up, stir it all in, because basically this is going to be the marinade for the pork, and it will also become a sauce later when I add the rest of the ingredients. So I'm gonna just toss this to try and get all of the ingredients mixed in, get all the pork mixed into this base, if you will. And you know what I just thought now? Because this is about a little more than 2 pounds according to my sister. So I am going to try my very best to let this sit for 30 minutes before I go on. So I'm going to put this in the fridge for 30 minutes. But I'm thinking though that I should probably add a little bit more salt to this, because again, I reduced the salt because of the seasonings that I was putting in. But I also have a little bit more pork in here than the recipe calls for. So I think it will be best for me to just add just a little bit more salt to this, because again, pork likes salt. So I'll just add a little bit more salt. I'm going to do a test piece before I do all of it. Because once I start browning this, then, or putting it all into the pot to brown, then it's going to be difficult to get the saltage right in here. So I want to make sure that I taste the pork first, because I'm going to brown the pork before putting it into the soup. All right, so I think that should be good. Let's get this now into the, cover this up and put it into the fridge. All right, let's try and get everything touching the liquid. All right, this will now go into the fridge for 30 minutes. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, y'all, so I've taken the meat out of the fridge so that I could get a little bit closer to room temperature before I put it in the pot. So I'm gonna let it continue to sit for a few more minutes. In the meantime, though, I am going to make my annatto oil. So I have about a half a cup of vegetable oil in here. And hold on a second. Sorry. I'm going to bring that up to temperature. So I'll heat that up for a minute. I'm putting that on medium heat so that it can get hot, but not too hot, because I want to put the annatto seeds into the oil when it gets a little bit warm, so that we can let that fry up a little bit and flavor the oil. I'll bring you back in a minute. Okay, y'all. So I turned the heat up to medium high, and I think we're very much ready. So I am going to put in my annatto seeds, and this is about probably about 1 teaspoon or a little more than 1 teaspoon. And it's basically going to, I'm turning that back down to medium so that my seeds don't burn. And as you can see, it has certainly changed. Oh, you gotta smell this. Oh my goodness gracious. It has changed the color of the oil to that beautiful yellow, golden yellow color. And that's actually the color of the oil right now. And yes, it is popping. You can actually make this ahead and then just be ready to use it, or you can store it. It stores for a little bit. So I'm gonna let this continue to just fry up a little bit for maybe 3 to 5 minutes, most likely on the 3 side of this. And you see the seeds changed color to this dark red brown looking color, and the oil have already gotten that beautiful golden color as well. But like I was saying though, if you want to store this, you have to let it just, you're going to strain it and then let it cool for about maybe 4 hours or so. You want it to be completely cold, cool. Um, and of course, you're going to discard the seeds because they're no longer good anymore. And then pour the oil into a airtight glass container. And it will probably keep for about maybe 3 months or so at room temperature. Oh, the oil smells so nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this continue to fry up a little bit, and then I am going to strain the oil and start browning the pork meat. So I'll bring you back when I start that. Okay, y'all, so I think the oil is hot enough. So I am going to put in just a few pieces of this meat. Just a few because it's pretty hot. It's gonna splatter everywhere because it has so much liquid in it. So I'm trying to drain the liquid as best I can before I can put this into the pot. But I also don't want to crowd the pot too much. And I am going to try and pick these garlic out so that they don't burn. And then I'll put them back when I put back the meat. Alrighty, y'all. So as you can see, this batch of the meat has already browned a little bit. So I am going to take this batch out, and then I am going to now put in the next batch of meat and continue to brown the meat until I'm done with browning the meat, and then I'll bring you back. Alright, y'all, so I am done with the last of the browning of the meat. So all of the pork is now browned, and I am now going to add the, as you can see now, all the pork is brown, so I took those all out. Now I'm going to add the onions, and ooh, this is going to be not so nice with me. I'm going to add the onions and the bell peppers, and my pot is pretty hot. But I didn't have enough bell peppers, so I had some. I had one jalapeno, two bell peppers, and a poblano pepper right there. So I am adding all that goodness into the pot. Oh, now, there we go. Very nice. And I also have two bay leaf that I'm going to put in there as well, but not now. So let me stir this all up. And if you notice, I did not add any salt to this because there's a lot of flavoring in the fond at the bottom of this pot. So I am not going to add any salt to the peppers and onions because, well, I think they're pretty much very well seasoned now. All right, so I'm going to let this just cook up for a few minutes. And then I'm going to add my two bay leaf. Well, technically it looks like more than two, but they're pretty small, so I'm being cute and add the two bay leaf. If you have good sized bay leaf, please feel free to add them. Oh my goodness, that has a good flavor. I could smell it. Wow. Okay, let's try and scrape up some of that fond from the bottom. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. All right. Some of the fond is coming up, and we certainly want all that flavor in our soup. All of that lusciousness up, y'all. Oh my goodness gracious. It's gonna be some serious soup. But I have to say, making tamale soup is quite an experience. If you ever tried it, there's some people who do make tamale soup by just using their leftover tamales. Well, I can tell you, in my family, that would be a joke because we only eat my Aunt Margaret's tamales, which I think is the best tamales ever. So, I don't usually have leftover tamales in my house. But if you have leftover tamales, I've heard people do that. They make their tamale soup with the leftover tamales. And like I said, well, in our family, there is no such thing as leftover tamales. All right, I think I've scraped up all the fond that I could scrape up. Yep, look, there's a piece right here. All right. So now I do believe that I'm going to let that just continue to fry up just a little bit. And then I'm going to add my tomato sauce and the wine to deglaze a little bit more. So I'm adding about a half a cup of tomato sauce in here. All right, and then I'm gonna deglaze with a half a cup of dry white wine. This is all I had in my house technically. Well, technically all I had in my sister's house is Pinot Gris, which has a citrusy, appley flavor. And since I'm making pork, citrus and apple go well with pork. So I figured, why not? So there we go. Deglazing with my half a cup of white wine. dry white wine. Oh my gosh, that smells good. I need the other half cup to drink, please. Oh, that smells mighty good. And I also have the marinade that I need to put back in there. So I am going to pour the marinade in here as well. Okay, just want to get all that goodness out of it. And as you can see, this has already started to boil. And I am now going to add the pork back. Ooh, I want that to come up to a little bit of a boil first, though. Come up to a little bit of a boil. It shouldn't take long for that to come up to a boil. Okay, there we are. Okay, so that's coming up to a lovely boil right there. Okay, so that's exactly what I want. So let's add the pork back. That's mine again. I want to splash on. Add all that lovely pork back in there. And I'm going to pour all of my juices in there as well. And I'm gonna just rinse this out a little bit. Lord, that smells good. Okay, so now I'm going to add in my chicken broth. And this is some chicken broth that I had made. Sorry. Add the rest of the, I was about to add the rest of the chicken broth with the top on. Let's add the rest of the chicken broth. I'm going to reserve a little bit of that chicken broth because I will need to add a little bit of cold water to the cornmeal and then strain it. But I'm not going to add water. I want to add chicken broth. So I'm going to reserve a little bit of this chicken broth so that I can add it into that. So I will bring this up to a boil. And once that's done, I'm literally going to add the chicken broth to that cornmeal and then pour it into the soup. And normally, once that comes up to a boil, that's when I would add my cabbage and peas and carrots. But because I am going to pressure can this, I don't want to add my my cabbage and the peas and carrots into this portion of the soup because they will completely die after their pressure can, so you won't even be able to identify them. So I will add that once the soup is served. But if you're going to be eating the soup the same day it's made, if you're going to be serving it, then you want to be able to just have some shredded cabbage and steam some peas and carrots and add it to the soup. And normally when I steam my peas and carrots, I would add a little bit of chicken broth. Like I would steam them both in chicken broth before adding it to the soup, just to give it a little bit more flavor and not let it taste bland when you add that to the soup. Okay, y'all. So let me let this boil a little bit more. Then I can skim the top off before I add the. Ooh, steaming you all out. Okay, so I will let that continue to cook a little bit. I'll lower the stove just in case. I'll put it back down to medium heat. I'm going to do my cornmeal in a little bit. Alrighty, y'all. Sorry for fogging you out. Well, technically steaming you out. As you can see, our lovely soup is has come up to a beautiful boil. So now I am going to literally pour in cornmeal. And I know some people have used uh, the tamale masa for tamales. And I can honestly tell you I tried that, but it was too thick. It was way too thick for me. So I literally just usually do this and stir it in. And again, just keep stirring it in. You can literally just pour it in as well. And as you pour it in, be mindful of how much you're pouring in, because what you don't want is for it to get too thick before it comes up to a boil again, because once it comes up to a boil, it will get thicker. And because I want it to be nice and thin, oh my God, you guys, you have to smell this. It smells absolutely fantastic. So delicious. So this will come up to a boil and I'll see how thick it gets. If it's too thick for me to be able to pour, then I'll leave it at that. If not, then I will keep adding some more of the cornmeal. I found that the masa for tamales was just really way too gritty for me, and it didn't cook well enough, because you have to cook it long enough like you would do, not even how you would do with polenta, but you do have to cook it long enough to make sure that it cooks properly. And I could see how nice and thick this is getting. There we go. It's coming up to a boil. And then I got to remember, I got to go back and find those bay leaf. Here's one. Here's another. So I need to go find those bay leaf once this is done cooking, so that I could take them out, because I don't want them to pressure can in the soup. I should probably take them out now, because I think it's given us its lovely flavor. So let me just take them out. Yeah, I'm going to lower this because I don't want it to burn and I don't want it to stick. So I'm going to keep stirring, but I need it to come up to a boil. And then I'm going to taste and adjust my salt. Two more I need to find. Here's one. And I have one more. I need to find the one more. That's better. Oh boy. But I will let it come up to a boil again. Well, not to a full roaring boil. So I'll cover it and let it simmer. Should just put it to one quick boil. Let's see if I can get it to one quick boil without burning anything, because I could feel it sticking to the bottom of the pot already. And we most certainly don't want that. I just want to be able to skim off some of this sort of stuff off of there. And then turn this down. Oh Lord, oh Lord. Okay, yeah. Taste. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna get a spoon to taste. I was tasting to see if it needed salt. To me, it tastes like it needs a little bit of salt. I love the vinegar taste in it. It might need a little bit of salt. The heat is pretty good though, in terms of spicy heat. The heat is pretty good. It's not too spicy like how I would like it. So needless to say, I'd be adding hot pepper to this. I'm not gonna add salt. Oh yeah, the heat is good. All right, one last taste. I don't know. I think I'll let my sister try it in the morning and see if it needs a bit of salt. I was trying to find a little piece of, there we go. I found a little piece. Just a little piece of the pork. This is mighty hot though. Clearly, I'm not going to put that in my mouth. Ow, really? It's just splattered on me. Alrighty, y'all. Let me leave this be. I'm going to turn off the stove. Hope that's not okay. I'm going to turn off the stove and then I'm going to have my sister taste it tomorrow. And I will let you know what she says. Normally, I let this sit overnight and then taste it the next day, because by then I should be able to skim off any fat that's on here before I pressure can it. So if there is any fat, I'll be able to skim it off tomorrow morning. But my sister is going to be able to taste this tomorrow and let me know if it needs any more salt. And on that note, that's it for now. I'm holding this in my spoon because I really want to eat it. Oh, the pork is good. Definitely good. Okay. So I'm going to leave this be. I turned off the stove already. And I'm going to leave this alone. I'll slightly cover it. Oh, I turned it off already. So anyhow, I'll let you know what my sister says tomorrow. But on that note, that's it for now. And we'll pick up the rest of this tomorrow. All right. All right. This is my tamale soup with annatto. That's going to be going on my shelf. Well, technically, I hope. We're going.
Ooh, pop.
Yep.
Guys. I tasted before it started going in there last night.
Oh yeah, and I had told you that I was gonna ask her to taste for salt, and she said I didn't need any more salt. And from the measurements that I did, the amount of soup I was able to get 9 pint-sized jars, as you can see there. And I can tell you for sure that this one has a lot of extra meat in it.
Which one?
None.
Guys, I'm recording, so I'll go back and look and see which one she pointed at. Because I'm going to mark it, because that's going to be mine.
Right, of course it would. All right, so now I'm going to let that cool down and then label. Well, I'll clean them, and then label them.
And guys, let me show you what she did with the rest of the corn mixture.
Oh, I forgot to mention that I pressure canned this at 11 pounds of pressure for 25 minutes because of the amount of vinegar that I had in there. So I didn't need to pressure it for much longer than that. And everything in there was already cooked.
She just let you guys know. She just didn't know she did it.
Right.
She had extra corn mixture, and this is what my sister made.
Which is actually cornmeal fufu. that I learned when I was living in St. Lucia.
And guys, it tastes just like mashed potato with the corn background taste. Oh my god, it is so good. So imagine that with this.
Oh no.
Just a thought, guys, just a thought.
Right.
Okay, guys, Chair, you outdone yourself on this soup, girl. Ah, like everything else, guys, this soup was good. OMG. And it really do taste like tamales, for real. Oh my goodness. Margaret, I wish if you could taste this soup. Oh my lord, girl. She put her foot in it and everything else in it. It is so good. Ah, who would have ever thought? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. Tap that bell so you don't miss my other video. And please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Stay safe. God bless. And I will see you guys in my next video.